Welcome, guys. It's race week. F1 heads to Silverstone, the home of motorsport, and this is going to be a big one. We've seen last time out that Mercedes are still the team to beat. Red Bull, though, are on their coattails. Ferrari came crashing back down to earth. McLaren head home and in hope of something to turn their season around. It's the preview. Let's get to it. Welcome, guys. If you're new to the channel, please hit the subscribe button, and if you like the video, give it a thumbs up at the end. Well, it's Silverstone. It's going to be big, and well, Mercedes are still the team to beat. They dropped the ball a little bit in Barcelona with Ferrari taking the only win of the season off them. They head to Silverstone in strong form. George Russell, the homeboy, coming home with a victory. I'll be hoping he can continue that performance and that form here in Silverstone, but I don't think he's going to have it all his own way because, yes, he got pole position. Yes, it might have been a bigger margin than what you actually saw. But Max Verstappen was hunting him down. The week before, it was the Ferraris, and this Silverstone with these regulations is going to be very different to the Silverstone we've known before, and we'll go through that when we get to the circuit. News heading into this weekend. Well, we've got some new liveries, and we'll start with this one because it absolutely gave me jokes when I first seen this come up. The Williams livery. Take a look, guys. What's changed? Can you spot the difference? Really proud of the British heritage and the flag, because you can barely see it. It is literally on the front edges of the front nose, and that's all the changes there are to it in terms of a special livery from Williams for the home Grand Prix. Lots of comments on Twitter about this one. Just watch it on Instagram if you're on there when they revealed it, Williams, and all the comments underneath. They're absolutely brilliant. They've definitely dropped the ball on this one. And next up, McLaren also, they have also got a new livery for this weekend. Take a look at this one, inspired by the 1966 McLaren. I quite like this one, though. The front nose is giving a little bit Aston Martin to me, but the rest of it, I genuinely really, really like. They've got the silver, almost like the chrome silver, but not the proper shiny chrome silver. It's almost like a matte chrome silver, if there's such a thing. But I quite like it. And the other big thing, and a lot of talk about Max Verstappen to McLaren. Could it actually happen? A lot of news outlets now reporting it. The driver's manager, Max Verstappen's manager, has spoken with McLaren. There's no denying that. But as any driver in the market will do, they'll see what options they have. Even Charles Leclerc did that before signing for Ferrari. So if you're a Red Bull fan and worried, I probably wouldn't be just yet. It's probably normal rumours. Up to potentially 15 drivers moving around by the end of this season. So we could see another big switch around. And could Max Verstappen be the plug clogging the chain around? Well, we'll see what happens with Max. He's obviously hot property. We can see why. Give him a sniff of a car, he will be in there with a chance to fight. And we'll get to Red Bull because they'll be really interesting to watch coming here into Silverstone after Austria because the upgrades have worked, but will we see a Ferrari-style flop here in Silverstone? I think they'll be really well, and for one reason for that is they've got the best engine on the grid. That will definitely help them around this circuit. It's high speed, power hungry, and now they've got the upgrade package that should help them in the high-speed corners. The issue that they have is they don't really know that. Austria had the fewest corners of a Grand Prix circuit on the calendar with just 14 turns, and it's, 18 high-flowing corners around Silverstone that they've got to make their way around quickest. But I think that power in the back of that car will really help them. That huge rear wing will really help them down the straights as well. Long, high-speed corners, some heavy braking zones, but not enough to recharge the batteries, and that's something that Max put up in Austria, saying we'll see how we get on in Silverstone, because that is their biggest flaw with the engine. It's not the actual ICE unit, it's the actual battery power unit of the engine that they really struggle with, and where they're losing performance. So it's something that they need to work on. And will they get exposed in Silverstone? For that, Mercedes, they're still comfortably the team to beat, but there's people and cars sniffing around now, aren't they? Ferrari stole it from them in Barcelona. Max Verstappen kept them honest and nearly stole it from them in Austria. And then Silverstone, I don't think they'll have it all their way either. And, well, which of the two of their drivers will come out on top? We'll get to my prediction shortly on that one. Ferrari, well, they'll leave Austria with more questions than answers. Clearly, the hype and everything that went after Barcelona, and rightly so, because it was a brilliant win, really quick car, just disappeared. Race pace disappeared. The tyre degradation that looked so good in Barcelona disappeared. Ferrari are bringing more developments in Silverstone, and they'll need it. They've got a new power unit. Will they now maximize that, understand it a little bit more, and they might not be down on power that we've seen other places. But one thing for sure is that they've got the best chassis. They will be quick through the corners. That's been their strength. It'll be, can they keep the tyres alive in this relentless high-speed corner circuit? And their battery issue, are they similar to Red Bull? Is that their real weakness in the car rather than the ice? Because I think we'll see the ugly head of the 2026 regulations rear its head here in Silverstone, purely because there isn't the heavy braking zone. This will be one of them circuits where, you know, they'll tone it down a little bit, and you know, try and get the best out of it, so we don't get we'll definitely get super clipping. How bad it will be, we'll be questioning. So watch out for the onboards suddenly just jumping away. The big giveaway will be the fastest lap. So this is one thing that you really want to watch here this weekend, is how much slower is the lap time for this year compared to last year, and this will really expose the regulations and how poor they are. And, well, they are really slow in the corners. They make up the speed down the straights, these regulations, compared to last year's cars, and it's not quite the same. So we'll see what happens on that front. That's pretty much the headlines heading into this weekend. It was only sort of 7 days apart. The big one actually was Max Verstappen also saying that he thinks the strategy cost him the race win in Austria. Had he probably even undercut George Russell, he had the pace to keep the guys behind. Let's take a look at the circuit. It's it's not the most technical and difficult circuit. It's just demands commitment, this one. Every corner asks the same question: do you trust the car? And if the answer is no, you lose lap time around here. And you're immediately losing lap time. You've got some brilliant corners, Cops, Maggots, Beckett's, absolutely fantastic, every single one of them. And normally we'd talk about downforce when we come to this circuit, but this weekend it's all going to be about the harvesting of the energy, battery deployment, cooling, and tyres. Quite boring and not the usual excitement and hype that we normally get in Silverstone. But rest assured, I think despite that, and we might see more of the yo-yoing, I think we'll get some really good racing action. So watch out for that one. Weather conditions for this weekend, well, it's so far going to be sunny, warming up here in the UK up to Sunday. Will be the highest temperature that we see all week, potentially carrying on to the Monday, but rain showers and the UK are never too far away. They're two words that are just joined at the hip, aren't they? So we'll see what happens around here. I mean, if you split the circuit up, high speed balance, you've got to say that goes to Ferrari around this circuit. In terms of battery deployment, I think that's Mercedes' place. In terms of confidence, you've got to say it's Kimi Antonelli, Max Verstappen and Lewis Hamilton that are really high in confidence coming into this Grand Prix weekend. I mean, George will have a bit of a spring in his step as well, but he wasn't really too sure about that. Tyre wear, it's definitely Mercedes that leads the way on that. We don't know what to expect from the Ferrari. We kind of don't know what to expect from the Red Bulls. McLarens have been good, but they've just not been quick. Straight line speed, it's been between the Red Bull and the Mercedes, and I think a lot of that comes down to that huge rear wing in the Red Bull. If it's just pure engine power, then it is the Mercedes. But it's almost like if you want to build a circuit where we're going to see someone dominate or the Mercedes dominate, it might actually be Silverstone. But there are a few high-speed corners, like we've seen in Barcelona, where I think Ferrari might have it before I get into my predictions early. So yeah, in terms of the tactical edge, it's split really between them three cars, and so we don't really know who's going to have it. Let's get to the pit wall tyre talk. It's the hardest compound in the range, a C1 for the hard, C2 for the mediums, a C3 for the softs from Pirelli. It's they're sponsoring this Grand Prix. Well, it's the hardest compound because of the high speed corners. The tyres get absolutely hammered around here, but we don't see the high graining, so we will probably see a soft medium strategy potentially, and probably more likely than not, I think we'll see a C2, C3, and it's a one-stop strategy around here, unless we get some rain, and we've had rain in the race for the last 2 years. So and we've had a virtual safety car or a safety car in every Grand Prix so far this season. That's not changed. The last two, we just got virtual safety cars. So strategy, options, again, you've got to be tactile, think on your toes, got to leave your options open, and you don't want to be sort of pitting really early, I don't think, in this Grand Prix. Unless you've started on the softs and the safety car comes out, in which case then you might go to the hardest compound and you run to the end. Might see that. I think we'll probably see a soft start and onto the mediums, and then we'll see, depending on who's got the pace, sort of some going out longer, some staying out earlier. But I think the undercut will be stronger here than we've seen in Austria, a bit like Barcelona. So someone that might be willing to do a two-stop if the option arises for them, potentially the way the virtual safety car might land, we might see someone do really, really well around here on that one. Track position is big, but not quite as big that we've seen with these regulations. You're able to follow in the high-speed corners, so we'll see what happens when it comes to that one. On to my predictions. Well, it's a difficult one, isn't it? We go straight into it this weekend. We've got FP1 and then sprint qualifying. So join me for the watch along for that on Friday. I'll be doing watch along Saturday and Sunday for the qualifying and sprint race. Or sprint race and qualifying, and then the main race on Sunday. So join me for the watch alongs on that. For the predictions, it's a tough one, but for sprint qualifying, I'm going for a Max Verstappen in third place, and then I'm having a Lewis Hamilton second and Kimi Antonelli first. For the sprint win, I think Kimi Antonelli will take that away. It'll be a battle between Verstappen and Lewis. And I think Lewis might hold out for second. And I think it'll finish in that order, 1, 2, and 3, despite me just saying there's going to be loads of overtaking. So that's my predictions for the sprint race. For the main race, though, I've gone for that generally because I think Ferrari come out quick out of the box, and then we've seen others sort of come to the party. And so that's why I was a little bit doubtful on the Max Verstappen thing, putting him up there. But for the main race qualifying, I've got Kimi Antonelli to take pole position. I think Max Verstappen will come second, and then George Russell in third. Ferrari's probably dropping off that we'd normally see in sprint race weekends. They just seem to get it right straight out the box. For the race win, I think it's going to be Kimi Antonelli. He's been the fastest man in the fastest car generally, and I think all things being square come qualifying, he'll be on the top step come race day because he's flying. He knows how to manage these tyres and this car, and he just needs to put himself in a position where he can be right up there in the mix, or clean in clear air, or fighting just one or two drivers maybe up ahead rather than three or four like he did in Austria. So yeah, that's what I've gone for. Kimi Antonelli to take the race win. And then second place, I've got Lewis Hamilton, and third, Max Verstappen. No George Russell on the podium despite a win, but I think that'll be an absolutely incredible podium if we can get that for the race. Ones to watch, I am going to go for... I think Haas will do better here this weekend. I don't know why, but Haas. I'm going for Haas. I think they'll have a better car than we've seen previously, so watch out for them. The one to flop this weekend, I think it will be the Williams, a bit like what we saw in Barcelona. The heavy car, high-speed corners, and it just generally means slow. So, they might even get pipped by a Cadillac. I'm putting that out there in terms of it. We know Aston Martin and where they are. Interesting interview with Adrian Newey, actually, sort of talking about his health conditions, and it all just sort of chaos coming when it rains, it pours, he said. All the issues in that Aston Martin team coming all out at once. His health issues, the car just not working. He had to sort of manage his health and his commitments and his work and the racing a lot more closely than he normally would have liked. He didn't go into details about his health issues were, and it's completely personal, understandable about that. And he didn't quite use it as a something to just blame for their problems, but just said, look, despite all that, we've got a big upgrade package coming in the Hungary. So watch out for that. Didn't want to give too much details on it, but he said effectively the only thing that's really going to stay is the gearbox, and the chassis will be pretty much the same. But other than that, it's a completely new car. So they've not bought any upgrades. They've suffered. So they've got 3 weekends after, just 2 really, isn't it? And then we will see that in the Hungaroring. So it's just Silverstone, Belgium, and then they get their upgrade in Hungary. So we'll watch out and see how they get on for that one. But yeah, that's my top takes. Who have you got for the sprint pole, sprint race win, and for the main race pole and the race victory? Get in the comments on that one. Do you think we will see Kimi rise to the top again? Do you think George will continue his momentum? Will Max Verstappen continue his promise of success with the good upgrades, and Red Bull continuing with that here in Silverstone? Or will Ferrari fight back around a high-speed cornered circuit like we've seen in Barcelona? Here in Silverstone, the big difference here is that we've got the long straights. Energy management will be back, so something else to consider for this race. We might get some more of that yo-yo racing, but we'll be here for it. Join me for the watch-alongs. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, comment. As always, see you on the next one.